Good evening, everybody. We are taking a ride along the Phillipsburg Easton toll-supported bridge, and then we are heading back home via Highway 33 and Highway 22 in Pennsylvania, United States. Once this light turns green. And I figure anybody listening is at least vaguely interested in seeing the drive, so here we go. And if you're on this channel, you've probably also heard me rant at least once, so we're gonna have a little bit of that as well. You get to enjoy, to start, that beautiful view of the Delaware River and this very in need of repair open Great Bridge, which thank God it's not tolled, because this bridge should not ever have tolls on it. Yeah, the nice shining water down below. It would be a shame if one of these plates broke. I'm just waiting for that to happen on an open Great Bridge that I drive on. And then we're going to turn here onto 248-611 North. And off we go. Welcome to Pennsylvania. Land of too many people who think being on the right is okay. So there have been a large number of people in my life that think sympathizing with somebody who sympathizes with a racist is okay, and it's not. And we need to acknowledge that right away, that there are too many people in this society, in this area, who think that basically aligning yourself with a group of individuals who think certain groups of people should not have rights is not okay, ever, for any circumstance. Within that context, one of those rights that should be inalienable, but in practice isn't, is the right to not get shot. And as much as many people will say that, oh yeah, it's a right that we exercise every day to not get shot, you can't say the same for any individual of color who got stopped by a police officer for any reason. And that's something that's truly horrifying, to be completely honest. When someone gets stopped by a police officer, their first reaction is not going to be, okay, I did something wrong. No, their reaction is going to be, why is this guy chasing me? And I don't think it's fair to those of color who continuously, people say it's not a problem, but it really truly is, who continuously get pulled over because of their color, not because they did something horribly wrong. And then the officer, air quotes, will find some dumb reason to just pull out their gun and fire it. And this happens more than one might think. There is a growing list of names of individuals who have been fatally shot by police officers. And it's about damn time to change that. The way we are going to fix that problem in society is not by having one officer get convicted of a crime. It's not something that's going to work. We saw that with Derek Chauvin. Derek Chauvin got convicted, as he should have, on all 3 counts. He has not gotten sentenced yet. I fear that the judge will be lenient with his sentencing because he is a white man. But that is something that, it's a step in the right direction, sure, but it is absolutely not going to fix the systemic problem that we have in this society. You can see in that case, like almost immediately after the verdict was issued, another individual of color was fatally murdered at the hands of police officers. and then another, and then another, and then another, and so on. What needs to happen, there are a few things that all need to happen in order to stop this problem from perpetuating itself. One of them is to stop paying for the quote-unquote mistakes of these quote-unquote officers with taxpayer money. The second that these individuals are held accountable financially for their actions, the second that the rates of murder for these people will go down. Another thing that needs to happen is police officers, in my opinion, and this is going to be controversial, I know, but I'm going to say it anyway, police officers should not be allowed to carry guns. Like, I understand that maybe a supervisor would need to have one in a very specific circumstance, under a very specific set of parameters, and that makes sense. However, there are far too many cases of officers using too much force and thinking they're, pardon my language, cocky pricks because they have a bigger gun than you. And if they take that power away from them, then I have a feeling that these jocks for police officers will at least back off a little bit. I know that not many of the recent murders have been committed with guns. However, I have the feeling that there is a feeling within these individuals that if there is no willful compliance, they can shoot. I think only one of the most recent ones was actually committed by fatal shot. So that's step 2. Step 3 is to stop freaking placing officers on what they call administrative leave while they investigate these situations. Administrative leave simply means you don't have to do your job. It does not mean you're fired. It means you still get paid with taxpayer dollars to sit on your ass. And it's not something that should be paid for. We should not be subsidizing murder. And at this point, I feel it is safe to say that we are subsidizing murder by having paid officers with guns who don't know how to wield them in positions of power. Another thing that may need to happen in order to fix said problem is to not have the police officers investigating themselves. We know from witnessing it, case after case after case, that police can't police themselves. There needs to be independent agencies who look over this. Now, another controversial opinion that I have that not everybody may agree with, but it's one that I have and that's going to stand, is that there should be mandatory live stream body cameras at all times. The second a body camera goes off live, that officer should get fired and arrested. The only way in a 2021 society to hold somebody accountable is to see the actions that occur right then and right there as they happen. There have been, like I said, shockingly blatant cases of officers who file police reports that are intentionally false because they want the story to be created at their whim. And I feel as though the more live cases go out, as did the 9.5-minute live murder of Derek Chauvin, or not of Derek Chauvin, of George Floyd, excuse me. That went live, and that's the only reason George Floyd got justice. It was not because the officer committed a crime. It was because it was on videotape. And that's basically the way we solve that problem. If we apply all of those solutions to that problem, it'll fix itself. And I do have a firm belief that it will fix itself. On to another issue. Gas prices. My God, there is no need for gas to be $3 a gallon. We have seen in the past year that gas can be made profitable for $1.25 a gallon. Pennsylvania has the highest gas tax in the nation, if not, well, one of the highest gas taxes. I'm not sure of the California statistics. We've been tied with them for a little while. And there is no need for it. They say that the tax on gasoline in Pennsylvania goes to fix our roads, but you can see in the video right now and the fact that it's bouncing around very wildly in places that these roads are very poorly maintained, if maintained at all. One of the only roads that I generally drive on that I'm not driving on today is the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and that's because it's an independent agency that takes care of that road. They don't get taxpayer funding, and therefore they don't need to worry about subsidizing their repairs. But yeah, they should either eliminate that gas tax or actually use it for the roads. Now, I recently got a new vehicle, and it's not a new vehicle, it's new to me. And I am very disappointed in its gas mileage. It gets better mileage than the car I had previously. However, it is not anything to brag about. And it's seriously not fun going to the gas station and having to spend $50 to fill up a tank. That's a lot for one car. Especially when I tracked it, I can only get maximum about 250 miles out of a tank. That's like 20 cents a mile, which is a lot, to be honest. The highest toll road in this state costs 13 cents a mile. On to another topic, COVID response. I have seen many people who think that wearing a mask is some form of oppression, some form of control. And I can argue that it is. It's a control over a disease to keep the population from spreading it knowingly at this point to individuals. And beyond that, because that's something we all know about, there are many cases of people who say, I'm vaccinated, so I don't need to wear a mask. That's straight up false. You still need to wear a mask because there are too many morons who won't wear a mask. And because of all of these people who think that mask wearing is oppression and they refuse to wear them, they are causing this disease to mutate. And it's mutating into forms that this vaccine might not have a chance against. We can only wait to see how that happens, but at this point, those who are not wearing a mask are the problem. And maybe these murder-happy police that I talked about earlier should look into enforcing mask requirements more often instead of murdering black people. And I'll close off on one final topic. I just got to think for a second on what that topic may be. Let's go with the federal minimum wage. So, as many of you may know, if you have watched any type of news recently, the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. It should be close to $22 an hour. The proposal that was presented from a number of senators was $15 an hour, a meet in the middle compromise. That failed because of two Democratic senators, at least senators who call themselves Democrats, Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, who are two senators that need to be primaried in the next election. There is a way around the problem, though. The minimum wage is what you make it. There are ways in which you can avoid doing a particular job for less than it's worth. There are certain industries which you should not work in because they will not pay you a living wage. And I'll give this piece of advice for any people who are seeking a job out there who may want to have a listen. Do not work for less than you are worth. One of the first things you should ask at a job interview is how much does it pay? If they tell you anything less than what you are worth, and I know what I am worth, but I'm not going to set a number out there, it's what you think you deserve. If they do not meet that number, you walk out the door. There are plenty of jobs that will pay better than minimum wage. One of the sincere problems with the economy is that too many people believe a minimum wage is just supposed to be a startup wage. That's false. When FDR created the minimum wage, he said that no individual should work 40 hours a week and not live a decent life. If you think that your wage is too small, negotiate it better or find a new job. There are plenty out there, and there are many who are willing to negotiate so long as you don't work for a corporation. Those jobs are widely known and widely available. All you need is a simple Indeed search to find them. And don't work for less than you're worth. That's basically the conclusion I'm trying to get you to find here. I guess I have 3 more minutes, so we'll go one more topic, I guess. This one's gonna sound very specific, and it is. But if you ever look at a map, you'll find that there are exactly 3 crossings between Jersey City, New Jersey, and New York City, New York. Of those, there is 1 bridge and 2 tunnels. There is the George Washington Bridge, which has 14 travel lanes, the Holland Tunnel, which has 2, and the Lincoln Tunnel, which has 6. All of these bridges and tunnels charge you a $16 toll one way to get into New York City. Now, charging a toll to get into a city is not something that I see as a problem. I take a toll road to get to my job almost every day. However, it should be written into federal law, if it's not already, that any city must have at least 1 road to get into it that is not barred from access with a toll road. In other words, people who work minimum wage jobs should be able to drive to New York City. If you think about it this way, somebody making the federal minimum wage has to work for 2.5 hours just to cross that bridge. And that's not right. A lot of things are not right in this world. And I'll leave you with this final thought. We are the generation that has the power to change things. We are the generation that has the voice. We have the loudest voice among anyone. Boomers are gonna die. Millennials are gonna get old. And we are a growing generation of young and brilliant minds. And we need to put those minds to good use. And we have the power to do that. We have the power to make the change that we want to see in this world. We just have to come together and make it. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button for more random rants like this one, and maybe occasionally I'll make them some sort of regular thing. I'm not the best political speaker, but I think that at least with a little bit of practice I can get better. Have a nice day, everybody.